The biggest thing that stands out about the school's founding story is the fact that Archbishop Joseph Francis Rummel, the man, chose the Christian Brothers to govern the school that would be named after him. As a matter of fact, one of my colleagues described Rummel one time as bold in your faith, strong in our community, and unafraid to go out and serve others.
I don't think I'm sitting in this chair doing what I'm doing today had the brothers not been an integral part of the beginning of Archbishop Rummel High School. So that would be my thanks.
The beginning years, we had very few fathers who were professional doctors, lawyers. You know, they were insurance salesmen or truck drivers. So it was, you know, sort of lower middle class, I guess you would say. This was a developing area outside of New Orleans, outside of Orleans Parish. You know, Jefferson Parish was to the south and to the west. I think there were about 150 kids first year. The director was Brother Raphael Baudin, and I really regretted to see him go. He was a super guy. He was not an imposing personality. He was a very gentle person, but he was a good leader. One of the big challenges, I think, was to get a faculty. We were 5 brothers, and we hired 5 lay teachers. It seems like we were always trying to get them to understand what a brothers' school was. It was not an overwhelming struggle. You know, we managed to do a good job, I think. And I think the graduates, you know, they really knew what a Lasallian school, a brothers' school. We weren't using the term Lasallian as much then as we do now.
It was just kind of in the air we breathed. What I remember is that the brothers and the faculty there seemed passionate about what they were doing, and they really seemed to take extraordinary care and pride in making that school work from the very beginning.
The school quickly gained a good reputation, you know, as a good, solid educational place. And then we were successful in sports. So when you're successful in academics and athletics, I mean, what more can you ask for, you know? Those were the attractive things that brought kids to the school.
Raider pride is one of the biggest things that the kids talk about. And that phrase was coined by a coach who said that our students need to embody the passion and spirit of the Christian Brothers everywhere they go, whether it's the classroom, the ball field, the grocery store, or church. And he wanted the kids to know that the Christian Brothers' spirit was what kept the school going.
To the dedication of all of those brothers who worked so very hard to put Rummel on the map, if you will, and make it a school where all of my friends wanted to attend, so that I went in that direction as well.
Presence of God and live Jesus in our hearts, I think, were 2 fundamental things that we really had to get into the minds of these students. It wasn't that they were unaware of Catholic education. I mean, most of them had been in Catholic elementary schools. But this was the first exposure to the brothers.
I was invited to interview for the position I currently hold. And when I entered the room where the folks on the selection committee were seated, it was a very long table, very intimidating, maybe 12 people seated around the table. And Brother Justin Fox was one of the brothers seated at the table. And he said, "Let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God." So I'd been removed from the brothers for a while, but when I heard that phrase, there was an immediate sense of calm that overcame me, because I was connecting to something familiar. So I recognized in that moment that my experiences at Rummel had been instilled in me through the traditions in such a way that I wasn't even aware. And then I also think back to those lay colleagues that I mentioned, and the relational component of the educational experience that they provided really formed me to be the person that I am today.
You know, it wasn't long before we were really outnumbered with lay faculty. And we had, you know, we had some outstanding lay colleagues. I remember the first woman we had on the faculty. It was a shock to some people, but she was an outstanding person. And then, you know, we had more. And by and large, they were all excellent teachers, excellent people.
You know, they would give life counsel, and so it was where I experienced that someone cared more about me than about teaching math to me. But I see Rummel being a little bit different from some of the other Catholic schools in a positive way, in that there isn't a cookie cutter mold of the kind of student that they will serve. And often Catholic schools are guilty of having a particular profile of a student, and if the applicant doesn't fit the profile, then too bad. And I would even say that I have to be careful for my own school that we aren't guilty of the same thing.
To get into a Catholic school, if you were not a good student, was tough. The desire to be a school that took care of students was more important than being prestigious. We were encountering kids with learning disabilities. So I took a year off, went to Tulane, got a degree in education, sort of with an emphasis on kids with learning problems. And then I went to De La Salle and started a program there. Both schools had the reputation, the brothers will take care of your kids who are with learning disabilities, which I was proud of.
In the early 90s, the Christian Brothers relinquished governance of the school to the Archdiocese. And there were many who didn't quite understand the situation, and some became resentful and even bitter at times that the fact that the brothers weren't here anymore. They didn't quite understand.
Those of us who were left after they had departed looked at each other and said, what are we going to do? And I was scared.
And very fortunately, we had very many Lasallian partners on faculty who remained here and remained carrying the banner of Lasallian education.
And I think there was an erosion of the true Lasallian Catholic identity that was there. And they decided about 10 or 15 years ago to reapproach the brothers and ask to be reinitiated into the Lasallian family.
We finished our Catholic Lasallian assessment evaluation, our class program in 2012, and then a year later when we completed our reassociation, it really drew the community back together and we were whole once again.
So the challenge now, I think, is how can, with a handful of very strong Lasallian colleagues, no brothers, and even leadership that have little or no experience with the brothers, how are they going to lay over the school again that charism which was so strong when I was there?
In terms of formation, it's a matter of finding the time. And it comes back to intentionality again. It comes back to making the time for formation.
Everything that we do is designed to bring the community, not only the school community, but our community around us together.
The watershed moment was right after Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, when Rummel helped other schools stay afloat, you know, and we just opened the doors to these students and their families to continue with their education and not miss a beat, that we're not in circular communities just kind of living around one another, but we're one community and sort of like a seamless garment type of thing. And I think when we serve, that's the way that we demonstrating that our faith in action.
I want to say last year we did over 28,000 hours of service. in the community, and that is with roughly 675 students. So that is far and beyond any requirement that a student has asked. So that's one of the most impressive things.
As a senior class, and especially as the president, I want us to be remembered as one class that really cared, and that we really wanted to give back to our community, that we didn't just want to be secluded and just get through our final year of high school. I really want to be remembered as the ones that went out and made a change, made a difference in the world. And right now, that's what we're doing. It feels really good.
And now, in 2017, we're in a place in history where, without so many brothers visible on campus, I would hope that the students would be open to hearing the message of the brotherhood and the passion and the spirit that was there 60 years ago and is still trying to give birth to the place in Metairie today.
In my approach, it's my intention to embody the Lasallian spirit more in a sense of recognizing and having the students recognize throughout the day that we are in the presence of God. Bringing them back to the fact that, you know, this is your brother, he has dignity, or to just approach them with a sense of reverence and respect for who they are.
We are part of a tradition and a community of brotherhood, and we're family. When the guys walk in and out of classrooms and in the hallways, somebody's always there. They're patting you on the back, telling you to keep going, always pushing you to do better and do what's right.